Now let's talk about a little bit of context here. This has 66 books. It has 40 authors of the 66 books. Okay? At least 39 of the 40 are Hebrew. Okay? So when you go to college and you do your research paper and this and that, the instructor will always say, context is everything. It's not just important. You got to know the context of what the author's background was and what culture did he grow up in and what was his language and this and that. Because context, I lived in Spain for a year and we studied this thing called the Generation of 98, La Generación de 98. And the big deal was that was a big revolutionary social movement in Spain. I didn't know anything about it. What did I know? I just went over there to learn the language. I didn't think about the society or the civilization or the culture. And so you have to read about these guys, and their background. Well, guess what? We may have one Gentile in this group, maybe, because there's even debate whether Luke was really a Gentile or not. So there's a split decision on that one, okay? So let's say, fine, we got one Gentile, but we got 39 Hebrew authors. Well, Paul was Hebrew. And although Paul became apostle to the Gentiles, he'll tell you in his letters, he says, I'm still a Pharisee among the Pharisees because I trained under Gamaliel. The Torah was my mentor that brought me to Christ. He connected the dots. He said it's all interrelated. There are not two books. This is not 50% relevant. It is a singular, continuous story that's connected one to another. Okay? That's what Paul said. And, and a good thing to read tonight is, go to Romans 9, Romans 10, Romans 11, and read about how we as Gentiles got grafted onto the basis of the olive tree, okay? That doesn't make us second-class citizens. That doesn't mean we have to become Jews. That doesn't mean the Hebrews have to become Gentiles. There's this new thing that Paul calls, that we even study about tonight in Ephesians 2:20, which is he called it a mystery. And he said it's one new man in Christ, in Yeshua, where there is no Greek and there is no Hebrew, there's only Christ. And if you read the book, there's a little section in there where in Colossians chapter 4, Paul talks about acknowledging both Hebrew and Gentile workers on the same projects, doing the same missionary stuff, working on the same crusades, and he says they're working as one team. And unfortunately, we only had a very small window from the death of Christ until James, the last Jewish bishop, was martyred in Jerusalem shortly before the Second Temple was destroyed by Titus. So we only have a 35 to 38 year window. It's not a very large window of what this one new man mystery looks like, where there is no Jew or Gentile distinction.